Deebo Samuel has been granted permission to seek a trade, and this is in motion. We heard John and Kyle say we're not in the business of trading good players. Deebo's not going to be traded. We've heard it before, but Deebo Samuel is most certainly on the move. If his contract is something that can even be moved, because the dead cap is like $30-something million. So tough to know. Will the Niners take on some of that, or will another team take on some money? Will the Niners take on some money? How is that going to work? There's going to be some complications to it that might allow for such a trade to be done, but it is a complicated trade because of his contract. But Deebo Samuel granted permission to seek a trade. We've got more Aaron Rodgers news, Cliff Kingsbury news, Kellen Moore news. We've got tons of players to talk about. The Fantasy Football Show, kind of almost like in a way it feels like the first off-season free agency kind of news show begins right now. File on in.
FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So here we are talking Deebo Samuel, another 49er wide receiver, but this time, this one feels like it might have some legs in terms of a trade going down. Deebo's kind of disgruntled. I don't think he wants to be in San Francisco anymore. I think he's worn his welcome out with the fan base. The fan base got really upset at him when he dragged out his contract situation, much like Ayuk did. And according to Adam Schefter, the Niners have granted Deebo permission to go seek a trade. Now, what's that mean? That means that he's going out and trying to find a location that he wants to go to. Then he's going to bring back the okay, this is where I want to go. The agent's going to discuss contract. There's going to be all kinds of stuff that goes down. Deebo is basically capable of maybe squashing a certain landing spot because he might say, I don't want to play there. I'm not going to sign any sort of extension. I'm not going to make, some sort of, a lot of these times a new contract is in place, sometimes to help the receiving team. And so a player can definitely cause some chaos. So it's better to just say, hey, you want to go somewhere, pick it out, and then we'll see if we can negotiate the trade, the draft capital, whatever ends up being swapped. Now, Deebo's not going to command a ton. He's an older player with a lot of mileage. There's no way he's getting like a second-round pick or anything like that. He could have maybe last year, just off of the hype and off of the necessity, the need of a wide receiver, and a lot of teams needing wide receiver. But this is something that I think is doable in terms of a team like Buffalo or Washington. Not saying Washington wants to choose Deebo over signing Godwin without giving up any draft capital. I'm just giving you a couple landing spots. He could go to Buffalo. Like I said, is one location. Let's pull up this right here. Sorry, wrong screen. This is going to give us an indication as to a better look at all the teams and kind of feel it out. Green Bay could be a landing spot for Deebo Samuel. Washington could be a landing spot for Deebo Samuel. The Dallas Cowboys, I suppose, but I don't think they're giving up anything. I think they'd sign Deebo if he was a free agent, but I don't think they're giving up anything, taking on the contract. Cardinals have been whispering about taking on a new wide receiver to help out Kyler and balance out the offense. They talked about it a lot in the offseason, so they're a possibility, I suppose. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been long looking for a wide receiver. The Chargers are often mentioned. The Raiders could be a possibility, especially if they go, let's say they get Genty. They draft Genty, they bring in Deebo, they got Brock Bowers, they sign Justin Fields. All of a sudden you got a team, Darnold or Fields. It's a pretty good little plan of attack if you ask me. Deebo to the Colts is interesting. Deebo to the Texans after they've been decimated at the position. Tank Dell won't be ready in 2025. Buffalo, the Baltimore Ravens are a consideration because Deebo might want to win a Super Bowl. Sometimes these locations are all about the player seeking it out, and then it triggers some sort of interest. So Baltimore is a possibility. I don't know that he'd be amazing there. I think he'd get kind of drowned out. Buffalo kind of feels like the best location to me because the Niners, the way they use Deebo, the way Deebo is been kind of constructed as a player, and his style of play in the NFL is very much like a running back. And the Buffalo Bills, their best run sometimes is a short passing game. And I think that you could definitely use a Deebo Samuel in Buffalo to kind of keep defenses honest, do a wide back type of version of Deebo's deployment in Buffalo. Would be a pretty good landing spot. Texans, Buffalo, the Raiders, if they got a quarterback, I don't think you want to go there unless they had their quarterback in line, though. That's the only problem there. Green Bay's interesting. Those are kind of the spots. I mean, Dallas might be intriguing to them. I'm not saying the Dallas Cowboys, again, would trade for him, but those are kind of the spots that I'm thinking that come to mind. So Deebo Samuel, we'll see if he, is able to pull off some sort of connection between a team and the Niners, and let the Niners and that team negotiate the exchange and draft capital or whatever ends up getting traded. But Deebo's going to be trying to get out of San Francisco. He's not happy there. He's been granted permission, meaning he wants out. This is probably going to happen to some degree. It's got to, right? And then this news here, Sam Darnold. Schefter believes that the Raiders could be a team worth watching as a potential suitor for Sam Darnold. This matches up with the Raiders maybe, being an option for Deebo Samuel, because they can bring in Darnold, they can draft Genty, they could bring in Deebo. It kind of makes sense. It'd be a pretty good team when you think about it. I mean, especially if it's Fields, though. Fields, Deebo, Fields and Godwin, Fields and Higgins, like Bowers. It'd be Genty. It'd be a good team, a good turnaround. If I was the GM of the Raiders, I'd turn them around in a split second. Give me Genty, give me Fields, sign Godwin or trade for T. Higgins. I would have a monster squad. I would have done one better. I would have brought in Deion Sanders and Shador, and I would have figured out a way to trade up, draft Shador, bring in Deion, get Higgins or Godwin, have Brock Bowers, draft Scattaboo or Dylan Sampson in the outside the first round, obviously. But that's what I would do. I would turn this team into a pretty darn good team right away. But I don't know what the Raiders have in store. But Darnold would be okay. I'm not saying I'm giving up on Darnold, but I certainly feel like a lot of us have kind of, I don't know, we haven't soured on him, but I think we're a little bit questioning that is that Viking system just that good? Because none of us really saw it coming, not the way that Darnold brought it. And I think all of us saw it unravel, and I don't know, he's got to go somewhere perfect. I just don't know. Justin Fields, ESPN Adam Schefter reports that there's a number of teams who are interested or would be interested in Justin Fields. We know that. Fields was 4-2 as a Steeler. And I think Aaron Rodgers quietly, and he might shoot it down himself, and then my prediction's out the window, but I think Aaron Rodgers is going to Pittsburgh, and Devontae Adams gets released, and Adams goes to Pittsburgh. I think this is the best scenario for Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying it leads to a Super Bowl. I'm not that blind. I'm just saying that Rodgers probably wants this, and maybe Pittsburgh plays a little better than they did last year. Maybe they win a playoff game. I'm not saying they go deep into the playoffs, but this is the best chance that Aaron Rodgers will have going to a team that's almost guaranteed to make the playoffs and almost guaranteed to exit early. So maybe Aaron Rodgers thinks I'm the difference maker. I'm not saying he is. I'm saying he thinks that. And I can't see why him and Adams together wouldn't go to Pittsburgh. It just makes sense to me. Fields could put the kibosh on that, because Fields is definitely, I think, in the sights of heading to the Pittsburgh Steelers again, to a quarterback without Russell Wilson this time. But that could change. I mean, if I'm Fields, I'm shopping. I don't trust a team that didn't see me the way I was playing and decide I was the starter. They completely crapped all over Justin Fields. For him to want to even go back and entertain it is mind-boggling to me. The disrespect that Tomlin showed Justin Fields, the disrespect in general thrown in Justin Fields' direction, I don't know why you even consider it. Aaron Rodgers, Jay Glazer reports the Jets informed Aaron Rodgers they're moving on from him, for anybody that missed that piece of news. So Aaron Rodgers is gone out of New York for 2025, and I think Adams will probably be either released or traded. It's hard to say with these contracts and age and breakdown and all that, and what's the interest from NFL teams. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reports the Jets could move on from Devontae Adams, so that's that news that backs that up. So that's why I think these two could be a pair going as free agents wherever the hell they want to go together, and either go down with the ship or maybe have some sort of final last hurrah. Not that it'll be a Super Bowl contending hurrah, but something that can be a respectable exit for at least Aaron Rodgers, and then Adams probably lingers for a year or two. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport said from Radio Row, as they're breaking things down, that there's a possibility that Travis Kelce played his last football game. And while he did say he's got a lot of football left, Rappaport is reporting that there's still a lot of concern that he's going to walk away from the game. I wouldn't even call it 50-50 in terms of how I'm reading the vibe, but according to Rappaport, there's serious consideration that he's going to, even though he said, I've got a lot of football left, he's going to take some time, step away. And one of the things Rappaport said, which is very true, is that he can make a lot more money off the field. And that's just the nature of today's world, especially with commentating and his brother and the podcast and everything they got going on there. He could make more money off the field. And so we'll see what happens. But I think the way he went out, it's going to be a pretty depressing way to walk away from the game. Even if Kelce announces retirement tomorrow, let's say, I don't think he's retiring. I think he comes back. There's no way he's satisfied the football in him with that exit. I think he wants one more try, as Timmy T says. So that's going to be my prediction. No matter if he announces retirement or not, he's going to come back. J.J. McCarthy, according to Tom Pelissero, there's reports that the Vikings believe J.J. McCarthy's knee will be ready to roll for organized team activities in May. We'll see about that. And don't forget that Sam Darnold, there's still a possibility the Vikings bring Sam Darnold back. It's not something that I feel is as likely as McCarthy taking over as a starter. The rookie that they drafted last year suffers the knee injury, and you think, okay, they're going to turn to him since Darnold kind of turned into a pumpkin. But at the same time, this team really believed in Darnold, and Darnold may have crapped the bed in a couple games, but the team really got behind him. And even when he did crap the bed, he did bounce back, and then it just, then he unraveled again. I don't think this is done yet. I think he's going to moonlight. He's going to go wine and dine with other teams, and then we're going to see what's what. But I think the Vikings are open-minded about bringing Darnold back. But if he goes too long and goes on too many dates, they might say we've moved on. So J.J. McCarthy, as of right now, has a little bit of, as Tomlin said last offseason with Russell Wilson, pole position. J.J. McCarthy's in the pole position, but we've seen how that turns out. Micah Parsons, NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reports that the Cowboys had some internal discussions about potentially trading Parsons. This will be interesting. Not a very smart move in my opinion, but we'll see. Myles Garrett, this could turn into something later, but again, as I said from the jump, he can't just say I want to trade and they just be completely open to it, unless he's got some internal beefs that we don't know about that run deep to where they want him out of there. If that's the case, then he'll be moved really quickly. But Myles Garrett told ESPN that he is willing to do whatever it takes to facilitate a trade with a Super Bowl contender. So he's pretty upset right now. Keep in mind that we hear things, though, like Tyreek Hill says, I'm gone. Then he walks it back. Tyreek Hill was doing an apology tour on Radio Row during the Super Bowl week, saying, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I want to stay. I'm going to stay. I patched things up. So, the acquisition of a quarterback, the talk of this and that, talking about Shedeur Sanders, having a meeting with Shedeur Sanders, whatever the case may be, could turn Myles Garrett's thinking around. They have the number 2 overall pick. They're most certainly going to go quarterback. If you ask me, I think Deshaun Watson's taken his last snap as the Cleveland Browns starter. He will not be able to even suit up for 2025. He tore his Achilles tendon again. Deshaun Watson. He tore it a handful of months ago and then retore it again. If anybody doesn't know, he tore it again. He's out for 2025. That's new. That's semi-new news. Some people don't know. They've been sleeping under a rock thinking, oh, this is the other injury. No, he just tore it. He was at the lake and he tore it. Wasn't wearing his boot, according to some reports anyway. And so the team's moving on. And they're going to keep him on the roster, probably cut him next offseason. Deshaun Watson may never take another snap as a Cleveland Brown, and his career is pretty much over. So they're going to draft somebody. It's going to be Cam Ward or Shedeur. And I think Myles Garrett might feel a little bit better about this team then. But could he facilitate a trade? Yeah. Is the beef that he has deep? We don't know. And so that will totally determine whether Myles Garrett does get moved. But just because a good player wants to be moved doesn't mean a good player gets moved. Cooper Kupp wants to be moved. Deebo Samuel wants to be moved. It's different because they're not amazing players right now at this point in their careers. Myles Garrett has a little bit more pull, a little bit more talent, and less, I would say less pull, more talent to get a deal done. You know, he could cause some waves and make some havoc, and that's certainly possible. Kirk Cousins, Mike Garafolo reports that the standoff is underway between the Falcons and Kirk Cousins. They reportedly haven't heard from him. He's not replying. Keep in mind, Kirk Cousins has a no-trade clause, so they can't even trade Kirk Cousins unless Kirk Cousins signs off on it. What I predict he's doing here is he's going to go dark, and he's going to make him cut him. He's like, cut me and pay me. Cut me and pay me. I want to go sign another deal, another contract with someone else. Cut me and pay me. He wants to go wherever he wants to go. He doesn't want to get traded to some team to the highest bidder. He's going to go dark, and the Falcons are going to say, you know what, we're going to have to cut you. And they probably need to do it at this time. So Kirk Cousins, where does he go? He probably competes to start somewhere, I imagine. But I do think he'll get released. He's going dark. Xavier Worthy caught 8 of 8 targets for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Chiefs Super Bowl loss to the Eagles. Kind of went understated because of the game and everybody talking about the Eagles. I mean, this guy's been balling, bro. This guy's been balling. Everything we said, all the hype we've had behind this kid, it's all coming to fruition. We're sometimes a little bit early on players, but Xavier Worthy might just be a Mars man in 2025. Who here thinks he needs to be at least on the Moon Man list? Xavier Worthy looks phenomenal. We were a year early, I admit it, but he looks absolutely fantastic. And all the videos that we did and all the talk that we did and all the Smitty you really missed on Xavier Worthy. How's it looking now, pal?
I'm a Cardinal, hey, mama, Cardinal. 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 I'm a Cardinal, hey, mama.
Xavier Worthy, your wide receiver from the combine. He can't catch his hands.
I don't know what's happening there. The wrong video is connected to the wrong button. I don't know if little Smitty was in here like with, cupcakes and just, pressing buttons and it got everything all haywired. I don't know why. I hope to God we can play that video someday soon. But we got our streams crossed on that one. Let's go ahead and hit the right proper button. I think they're reversed, so bear with me if this plays a different video. I don't know. Hold on. This one?
Xavier Worthy, your wide receiver from the combine. He can't catch.
Yes, that's the right one.
Many say he won't make it at the next level.
Enough. Watch me. I must go back and make it right.
Xavier Worthy, he can't catch. Just fast. He won't make it.
Catch this. Great catch. Wow, nice catch. He's not overrated catching the ball.
He can really catch.
So yeah, if you hold down a button, you can reset him. She's done that before. She's done it before. Anyway, Worthy, 8 of 8, 157, and 2 touchdowns. And there's nothing better than a kid to come in a studio. They look at all the buttons and they're like, "Oh my god!" And they just start. I let her press all the buttons, and a couple of these scenes might be haywire. I'll have to keep an eye on it. I hit it, and then I started to take a drink, and then I was doing something else, and I started to listen to the song, and I'm like, "This isn't the right video." Let's see if this video's right. Let's see. What about this one? A lot of people ask me to perform miracles on this channel. Smitty, make something amazing happen. And I say, you know what? I can. Watch this. Watch this right here. I'll take this and boom. And then out of nowhere, Zoom in on this bad boy. Zoom in on that.
They laughed when we said he was about to be an unstoppable force for all to see. With Chase Brown. Get up, get down.
Okay, appreciate the super chat there, BBQ. BBQ says Worthy equals Clifford Franklin to start 2024 now to the moon. Appreciate you, BBQ, for dropping the super chat. Chase Brown season, baby. Question is, who likes Chase Brown over Bucky? Who likes Bucky over Chase Brown? Those are two very close calls. Two players in the third round. Two players that people are going to debate all offseason long. I'm going to go with Bucky by a hair, but I love Chase Brown. I think Chase Brown's a great player. All right, so let's move on. So Xavier Worthy, raise your hand, thumb up, eggplant emoji, fire emoji if you want Xavier Worthy on the Moon Man list walking into 2025. I want to get a vote from everybody. He's absolutely climbing boards. We're a year early, but so excited about Xavier Worthy. We got to probably put him on the Moon Man list. He looks so good. Clint Kingsbury report was the Saints head coaching job was Kingsbury's if he wanted it, but he was a little smart about it and said, I'm going to wait a year, work with JD5, and get my pick of the litter, so to speak, for the next head coaching job. Right now, he was kind of given sloppy seconds because he said he wasn't going to talk about anything until the playoffs were over, and then a couple jobs are gone, and then it's like, what, is he going to go get the third or fourth best job? So he sat back. He was smart. Saints are kind of a bad choice, I think, in my opinion, to go try and, I don't know, redo head coaching, attempts. And both these guys have had failures and successes. And Kellen Moore, I mean, he's walking away from something special. I understand you got to go take your shot. And the Saints could be good if you did a couple things, but I don't know that they're going to do them. Like, you got to bring in Justin Fields. You got to bring in a Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. You can't bring in Darnold. You can't bring in Kirk Cousins. You can't go with what you got. You have literally three options. Justin Fields, and you fix them. And if you don't, you're done. Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, who aren't probably available because the two teams at 1 and 2 need quarterbacks, and I don't know that they're giving them up. So Kellen Moore is kind of going into a situation blind, and he's going to be given no chance to really, I think, float. I think he's going to sink. We'll see. It depends on his quarterback. If he gets Fields, then game on. Okay? I like it. Olave, Fields, you could maybe make this work. But this is not the best situation. This is probably, and again, he could have the pick of the litter as well next year if he just sits back like Kingsbury and says, it's kind of my time to shine, but maybe it still will be my time to shine. And the Eagles' defense is so good, I don't know that he's going to have a lesser opportunity. Things will only probably get better if he stays. Now he's leaving, and things could get a little bit worse in the offensive side of things. But man, I don't know. I think Kingsbury made the right move. I'm not a super excited person about the New Orleans Saints landing spot for a head coach. I just don't see it unless they get some pieces that I don't think they will get. We'll see. Phone lines are open. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial in. Where's Deebo Samuel going to go? Where is Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams going to go, and are they going to go somewhere together? Is this video, remember this old wonderful number here? We got to we got some remixes here.
Come on, man. Pick up.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hey man, it's Devontae Adams again. Call me back, bro.
In your eyes, the light that hit your eyes, incomplete, flawless.
That's going to be taking a nice little twist. Maybe Garrett Wilson, maybe Aaron Rodgers calls up Garrett Wilson's got the speaker, and he's like, Aaron Glenn on the couch with Garrett Wilson. Maybe it's going to be Justin Fields. How do we remix this one? How does the remix end? How do I remix that? Who's going to be the quarterback on the couch with Garrett Wilson? You know, maybe this goes into a television set and they're watching, laughing as Aaron Rodgers is now outside with Devontae Adams with the boombox. How quickly things change. How quickly things change. I keep seeing Bucky's name. Look, Bucky, we smashed with Bucky. We smashed with Bucky. And anybody doubts Bucky, doubt him at your own risk.
Get buckied. 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 Oh, Bucky.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if I had the phone line up. Call in if you got a question.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Bucky, and what did I tell everybody? Remember when we came in early on and we said that Bucky was going to be, or I said Bucky was going to be a third rounder, and people are like, hell no, Bucky's going to be a second rounder. Bucky's a third rounder. Look, I know ADP pretty well, and it's not that I'm predicting where we have him or where I have him. We're predicting what the layman's going to do. We're predicting what the Joe Schmo that watches another fantasy channel is going to do. And so when I said Bucky would be a third rounder ADP-wise, I was right. And we're going to clean up. Breece Hall, his ADP's in the third round. Bucky Irving, his ADP's in the third round. Kyren Williams' ADP is in the third round. And we're going to clean up. And if you want to do this before it's too late, make sure you hit the link. I'll put it in the live chat and pin it. The link is underdog promo code Smitty. You want to take advantage of these third round monsters, you better hit this link soon and do a $5 or $3 draft and take advantage of these garbage, in a good way, ADP values, because they're phenomenal. Torres celebrates his membership here. He says, Barkley is my number one round pick. Well, he's going to be a first round pick. Do you mean your number one in round one? So the 1.1? That's fine. I don't think it's crazy. A disgrace to musicians everywhere. Don't be so hard on other musicians, Roth, because not everybody can do what we do here. So, don't be too hard on everybody. Nothing like getting a first-round talent in the third round. Ray G says, talking about Bucky in the third round, or Breece Hall or Kyren. Which one are you talking about? All three? All three? Third round. What a glorious time to draft on Underdog. Link in description, link pinned in the live chat. What a glorious time to draft on Underdog, getting Kyren, Bucky, and Breece Hall in round 3. It's ridiculous. I don't even know what people are doing. Are people really drafting Worthy over Rice? Says Tron. Well, Tron, you can call in and debate this, because the way you say it, it's like people that are doing it are crazy. I would love to hear your debate. I would love to hear, Tron, if you want to dial into the phone line. I'm not mad at you. I'm not going to blast you really. I want to hear your argument, because you're acting like that's crazy. I don't know where you're coming from. I mean, you got multiple red flags. I like Rice. We loved Rice. No one liked Rashee Rice more than this channel. That was a top 5 wide receiver land until he got hurt. That was devastating. Because what a smash. We smashed the hell out of the Rice pick. But getting hurt was devastating. But I would love to know. Tron, I'm serious. Call into the show and argue the case. I want to know why it's crazy.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
I'm honestly asking for right now, currently, 189 friends. 188, I guess. Not including you. I'm asking. Saints move up from the 9 pick. Matt, it's possible, but you got to ask yourself, if you're the freaking Browns or Titans, are you trading the number 1 or number 2 overall pick and getting away from a quarterback? You need a quarterback. You kind of got to take the pick. I don't think Tron's going to call in. I think Tron is Troning. But that's all right. Tron, you just watch from the comfort of your home. You don't need to dial in unless you want to argue yourself. I mean, I certainly love to know why it's crazy, because there's multiple red flags in the direction of Rice, whereas Worthy's stock is only going up.
Stock on the rise.
It's completely on the rise. There's not even a hesitation. What's crazy about not drafting a second receiver connected to Mahomes, says BBQ. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about cost of entry, and that's true. Like, if Worthy's grabbed later, but Worthy's getting grabbed earlier than Rice right now, but deservedly so, in my opinion, because Rice is coming back from a knee injury and has legal troubles, 2 to 6 game suspension. So I'm just curious. I know he won't call, but I just want to know. I wanted to hear what he says. Worthy is just had 150 yards and 2 touchdowns last night. Ball's life. I know. I'm like wondering the same thing. Like, what kind of comment is, are we really drafting? Tron, I'm serious. What kind of comment is, are we really drafting Worthy? People really drafting Worthy over Rice? He just had 150 and 2 touchdowns and has been getting better every single week. And he's one of the fastest wide receivers in the fastest. He's the fastest wide receiver in the league. So, like, what are we debating here, Tron? That's what I'm asking. I'm truly wanting you to debate it, but I think Rice has more possible. I already put that one up. Neither QB is worth 1 or 2 pick. I don't know what that's referring to, Gregory. Jets trade for Carr. Oh God, I hope not. Say goodbye to Garrett Wilson. Carr better not be. There's word today that there's some interest in Carr. Not necessarily from New York, just in general in the NFL. Like, some teams are interested in Derek Carr. Like, as a backup, maybe, sure, but as a starter, you're just kicking yourself right in the nads right before the game. That's like getting in a race car. Getting on the racetrack, you're like in position 5 or whatever. Okay, you got a good crew, maybe position not 5. Let's call it like 11. You're in position 11, 12, you're middle of the pack, but like good shot, good crew. Your pit boss, Aaron Glenn, everything's looking good. And then someone takes a wrench and just opens up the hood and starts smashing the engine over and over, knocking hoses off, ripping hoses off. There are definitely 5 hoses disconnected. And then you say, go. Race, young man. Take this car to the promised land. That car's Derek Carr now. That engine is Derek Carr. What in the hell would a team have any use for Derek Carr for? Peanut Butter and Jelly says, like the stream. Smitty, when do you think Worthy gets on prime Tyreek level? I don't know if he ever gets to that, but he could. I mean, I wouldn't bet on it because that's a very, very good wide receiver. But I think if anybody says he can't, that's a pretty stupid move. I think that's pretty dumb. Daniel says, Smitty, you think Bijan is worth the 3.8, 4.5, 7.8, and 14.5 in Dynasty? Or way too much. It kind of depends if it's a total dynasty startup, bro, and there's not like keepers that make these picks a little less valuable. It's hard to say. 3.8. I mean, if I look at a board right now, I'm just gonna look at a redraft board though, okay? But I'm just gonna 3.8. You're talking about talking about James Cook, Mike Evans, Zay Flowers. Yeah, bro, I'd surrender that for Bijan in the Dynasty. Yeah, sure. Rock out, you're live.
When it comes to like real football with Jalen Hurts, how you view him like versus like the top quarterbacks like Jackson and now that hasn't got to the Super Bowl?
Well, I mean, we talked about this in great detail for like 3 straight shows like like a week and a half ago, but nothing's. I mean, look, is he playing great football right now? Absolutely. And if you keep Jalen Hurts in the environment he's in, he's going to look phenomenal. You know, there's some times even during the game where it's like, whoa, okay, a little shaky there. But, like, look, he's one of the best running quarterbacks in the league. He's got some of the most talent around him any quarterback could ask for. He's got the best running attack, best offensive line. He's got probably the best wide receiver crew in the league, if not, you know, tied with, you know, a couple others, Addison and JJ and Chase and Higgins. I mean, you could easily argue A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And you add in Barkley's ability to receive, and it's like the trifecta of receiving capability. He's going to play and look like an elite quarterback, like the lower end of the elite quarterbacks, 4 or 5. Fantasy-wise, he's anywhere from 1 to 5 any given week. He's a top 2 to 5 fantasy quarterback every single week. You cannot bench this guy. He's a must-start. He's fantastic. He's an amazing fantasy football player. But, you know, he's in the most ideal situation, so he's going to continue to play and look really good. But the moment he's taken out, he's not going to be quite as good. You know, he's not Mahomes. I don't care what anybody thinks they know or they watch in one game. He's not Mahomes. No. Mahomes has had the best 7 to 8 years of any quarterback in the history of the NFL. His first 7 years. Like, come on. But is Jalen Hurts playing better than Mahomes this very second? Yeah, and the talent around him is amazing, but it's not his fault. He's in that situation. Can't separate situation from player. He's going to continue to play it well. So from a football perspective in this environment, he's definitely in the top 5 in terms of play right now. But is he a top 4 or 5 quarterback in the National Football League? Like, you start a team from scratch and you build around this player, can he carry the team the same way that a Mahomes or a Josh Allen or a Lamar can carry a team all by themselves? No. But it doesn't, I mean, you can't.
Even Daniel.
You can't separate, JD5. You can't separate Chase or Hurts from situation right now. But we've seen him shake. He's been shaky throughout the year. Like, it's not like he was perfect all year. But yeah, I mean, if I'm starting an organization from scratch and JD5's gone and Mahomes is gone and Josh Allen's gone and Lamar's gone and you're starting to get to that and Burrow's gone, you're starting to get to that territory. Like, he's in the consideration, but he always has been. Even during the debate, like, people think, Smitty, you hate Jalen Hurts. I'm ranking him 6 to 10 for NFL quarterbacks and 1 to 5 for fantasy. I don't know what more I can say. I feel like people don't listen. And they're just haters, because there's nothing more respectable than saying someone's a top 1 to 5 quarterback fantasy, and he's still 6 to 10. He's just the rarity that doesn't match up spot for spot. JD5's a top 3 NFL quarterback. He's a top 3 fantasy quarterback. Joe Burrow's a top 1, really it's top 2 to 4 fantasy quarterback. He's a top 2 to 4 quarterback. Mahomes is kind of almost the inverse right now. He's a guaranteed top 1 to 4 NFL quarterback, but he's not a top 5 fantasy quarterback right now. So he's on the other end of the spectrum. But that will change. If anybody thinks Mahomes isn't going to have his day and bounce back, you're just a hater. Like, stop living in the exact moment. He's big QB 1, 3, 4, 1, and he had all of his receivers down. And, he scored in a game where people are going to call garbage. He had 3 touchdowns and roughly 300 yards in the Super Bowl. So let's calm down. But yeah, I mean, JD5, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, all those guys are number 1, 2, 3, 4, and Hurts is right after him. Hurts is he's the leader of that next tier. Like, especially if you give him, especially if you give him the team he has right now, he's going to keep balling. What else you got?
I missed the beginning of the show, but where do you think Deebo is going to go?
I don't know. I think Buffalo is a shot. I think the Raiders are a shot. I think the other location I said that was Houston. So Buffalo, Houston, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, the Raiders, the Chargers, but I don't think they'd trade for, like, they got rid of Keenan Allen for a ham sandwich. Why are they going to trade for Deebo and, his deal and everything? Green Bay, Washington, and then that's kind of really it. Dallas, if he was a free agent, but he's not going to be cut. There you go. I don't know. At this point, any of those locations could work. It just kind of matters where Deebo wants to go because he's been granted permission to seek a trade. So it's going to start off with where do you want to go? Anything else, my boy?
About it for right now.
All right, call in. I might be live tonight. I might not, but call in tonight if I do, or if you got something else, dial in real quick. All right, rock out, my boy. See you later, bro.
All right.
Any more phone calls, dial in real quick before we go tonight.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Not saying we're leaving yet. Not saying we're leaving yet. I'm just saying get your phone calls in before it's too late. Matt O with a super chat. Smitty GM for the Eagles. Who are you getting as new OC? Jeez, man. That's so tough because, now you kind of looking at, I guess you consider, how can you keep things the same? Is there someone you can promote within that makes a lot of sense? You got to look at that because you want to keep things going the same way. You bring in a Ryan Grubb or something like that. I'm not saying he's available, but if you did, will he be able to implement the same exact thing? It's really tough to say. I think you first look at internal move up. Who has learned under Kellen Moore? Who's got this thing down? Is there somebody deserving of it? Ben Johnson at one point was, kind of somebody you'd be like, hey, this is not, somebody that's going to turn into what he's turned into. Like it happens. You don't expect certain people to really flourish. So you just can't assume that it has to come from, the pool of available OCs. The available OCs are available for a reason, right? They got fired. And then the Lions, went with, let's see here, it's John Morton, right? Includes new offensive coordinator John Morton. Morton was brought up internally, and he's going to implement a lot of the same processes in offense that Ben Johnson had, and that was kind of a move that I do like, but you don't really know until you do it. I mean, the Eagles botched the OC and DC hires when Gannon and Steichen left, so for a year in 2023, they struggled in a great way. And then when they got rid of their offensive coordinator, went to Kellen Moore, things improved. They brought in Fangio. Fangio's been unbelievable. I don't know if we're going to hear anything about him leaving, but there's options, but I think you do look internally, just like the Lions did. Morton could be a good choice. It could be a bad choice. We won't really know that. We're not dialed in enough to really know how he's going to do, but it could be a smart move. Hard to say. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. It's going to be a fun offseason for sure. But yeah, the Eagles, the Eagles get kicked in the nuts a little bit with that, I mean, Kellen Moore fixed things. Things were not great in 2023. Now, granted, Barkley is going to solve a lot of problems, no matter who's coming in. So, Kellen Moore might get even more credit than maybe he even deserves. I think Kellen Moore did great, but there was times where the Eagles' offense didn't look very good. Like it was puttering during the year. They got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown's wanting potentially, maybe he's disgruntled and maybe wants out, and Hurts wasn't throwing well at all. So Was Kellen Moore perfect all year? No, but he put it all together, won a championship. Guess what? Championships lead to head coaching jobs. So I don't know that Kellen Moore did good, but Kellen Moore was not perfect. So we'll see what happens. But the coaching moves are definitely fun. Definitely fun. And free agency's fun. God, what a good time we're going to have. Guys, I'm going to jump for now. I know we're doing shorter shows right now during the month of January and early February, but I'm going to try and come back, at least do a Dynasty show tonight. Make sure you're subscribed to the Dynasty channel. It's right here. Hit that. And when I say shorter show, our shortest show is about 50 minutes to an hour. You know, as long as most people do a regular show, period. So, you know, we do it live like nobody. But I'll hopefully be back tonight at some point. I can't guarantee it. Make sure you hit Underdog codes in the live chat pinned. It's in the description of the video. Code Smitty, but the link inserts Code Smitty for you. I just dropped the Dynasty link. Make sure you're subscribed to the Dynasty channel. We need to do a Dynasty video. I'm going to try and do a Dynasty show every day going forward. So appreciate you. Dial in tonight on the Dynasty show or the main show, depending on what we do. I'll see you all later. And get ready for a huge offseason. I'm live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern every single Monday through Friday. 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, I'm live. Whenever news breaks, I additionally go live. And a lot of midnight Easterns, we call them the graveyard shows or the after dark shows. We do a lot of drafting, a lot of ADP stuff. So make sure you're here for that. And then again, the Dynasty channel you're watching right now, the main channel, the 8 p.m. show on youtube.com/the fantasy football show. But make sure you hit that link. I'll drop it one more time. Here's the Dynasty channel, youtube.com/dynasty fantasy football. Link dropped. Here's my Instagram, the fantasy football show. I'm on Spotify, the fantasy football show. It's a video show. I was the first fantasy football and NFL video show on Spotify. They asked your boy to do it early. I launched about 9 months before anybody else. I've had the longest running video show on Spotify. And God, what was do I have it here? Yeah, here it is. Top 5% in video podcasts in 2024. The Fantasy Football Show on Spotify. So just know that we're on Spotify in the top 5% of all video podcasts. Not sports, all video podcasts. And don't forget to get on over to thefantasyfootballshow.com for year-round rankings, bold predictions, trade calculator, etc., etc. I'll see you all possibly tonight. Thank you for my super chats. Thank you, BBQ. Thank you, Matt O. Thank you, Melvin. I'll see you all later.